Summer Hours, which is a French movie directed by Olivier Assayas, starring Juliette Binoche, Charles Burling, Jeremy Renier, not to be confused with Jeremy Renner. So yeah, I've seen a few movies directed by Olivier Assayas, and they all undoubtedly star Juliette Binoche, who I think is one of the greatest actresses working, definitely one of the greatest actresses of our generation. But I don't know if folks have seen Personal Shopper or Clouds of Sils Maria, both amazing movies. So I've been wanting to check out more of his filmography, and I feel like this year to me has been a bit of a representation of that. Just like you're saying, Alex, going down back memory lane and watching more of our favorite directors. For me, this year was exploring directors that I know little about, and that did include a lot of foreign directors, European directors in particular. Obviously, a lot of classic Hollywood directors too. So, he was definitely on the list. And it just so happened that I ended up watching this movie at a time when my family, they're all in India, my parents, my sister, they all ended up getting hit by COVID when the COVID rates in India were crazy. Despite all precautions and everything, it was just so pervasive that they got it. And this is exactly what this movie is about. And sort of reading the quick summary on this, it's two brothers and a sister witness the disappearance of their childhood memories when they must relinquish the family belongings to ensure that their deceased mother's succession is well taken care of. So that's what this movie is about, which is this is beautiful house in sort of French countryside, and all the siblings are gathered over there while the mother is still alive, and they're talking about sort of what's the will, who gets what, but also having a great time eating good food and having a great time in the garden and such. And then, of course, she passes on. And then the movie is all about the negotiations, the heartbreaks, the unsolved traumas and mysteries between siblings and how all that impacts their life. But also in that moment, what is the division of the property and the material objects in their household. But it's really not about those things. It's really more about how the siblings feel towards each other, how they feel towards their mom and their family unit, if you will. And I just remember watching this movie on a Saturday evening. Welcome to my life. Fun Saturday evening nights watching sentimental, heavy movies by myself. And I was just bawling. And I think when I look back at this year, thinking about this movie, thinking about the bond I share with family, and then just knowing that my parents and my sister made it out safe from that terrible time, which was so traumatic with me being so far, them, going through such a tough time in their lives and for their own, safety and health and such, seeing them make it to the other side was even more reassuring. When you watch a movie like this, you're further reminded that, oh yeah, how lucky are we that we made it to the other side. So that's why this movie is so special. Not to mention, it's so artfully done. I think a lot of Olivier Assayas's movies can be a little bit more cerebral with a lot of sort of layers that are at play, which is true here too. But I think this movie is a lot more emotional and just simple. And in fact, I heard a lot about him talking about the movie, and for him too, it was a very personal movie to put forth. I don't know exactly or much about his own family history, but it shows, when artists put together something that's very close to their own upbringing or their own family or their own relationships, it sort of traverses the screen. So yeah, very happy to have watched this movie. So much more to watch that he's done, so much more to watch that Juliette Binoche has done. But yeah, this is my number two, Summer Hours from 2008.
Oh, well, I have not seen this film or honestly heard of it. So this is great for me just to discover something new. It's also good to hear that, during that really hard time, because I do remember that when your folks had COVID, and, that's very scary, obviously. And being so far away and not being there, I'm happy to hear there was a film that you found that helped. Because movies definitely can do that. And sometimes it's crazy how the right film kind of find you at the right time. I'm curious as like why You mentioned, going through this director's filmography. Was there something about this particular film that jumped out to you where you decided to watch it that Saturday night? Or was it more like, I just want to watch something of his and it happened to be this and it hit you in that way?
No, just a log line, I think, the summary plot details sort of kind of caught my eye. And then I watched the trailer and it just felt resonant to what I was feeling about family. And, I didn't expect the movie to be this heavy, even though I don't think it's heavy in like, a brutal sort of way. I sort of thought of it more, it'll be in French countryside, just beautiful to look at. And I want to be with these people, but it ended up being a lot more deeper in that sense, and a lot more rewarding, which was a pleasant surprise. Which now that as I'm saying it out loud, I don't know why I was surprised, because of course it's Olivier Assayas and Juliette Binoche. Everything they do is going to be deep and rewarding. So yeah.
Great. Was this film, was it reassuring and uplifting, or was it more that it tapped into the emotions you were already feeling and that's what helped you kind of get through that moment? I haven't seen the film, so I'm just curious on what about it resonated with you.
No, it's a good question. And I think it sort of says a lot about my psychology, which is a lot of people, I think, when they're experiencing or feeling one kind of emotion, they probably gravitate towards the opposite. I'm the opposite of that. I actually like watching things that are similar to what I'm feeling, because there's something, I don't know, comforting and kind of supportive about watching other people go through hard times or tough times in their lives. You feel sort of supported. You feel, yeah, I'm not the only one who's kind of going through this, So I think that's what I got from this movie, the sense of comfort and support from it. And then just, I don't know, in general, I just find art done well very comforting. When people are at the top of their game and you can see that on screen from every little department, like this house where they shoot this movie, the production design, how lived in it feels, you're totally transported. And there's just something so comforting about that too. So, and I like a good cry when I'm feeling not so good, which this movie also delivered on. So that tells you more about who I am, I suppose.
I'll have to keep that in mind when I put it on, to make sure I have the Kleenex near me then. if it's one of those films. Yeah, it sounds great. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, I will say though, like, this is kind of, I don't want to sort of make general statements, but because it's a French movie, I just feel like they are a lot more artful and subtle about their emotions. Like, you're not manipulated into feeling, something. There's no score, obviously, like most French movies. You're not driven to a thing. You're made to look inside out, and that's the part that brings you tears, even though you are, of course, living with the people that you're watching. So yeah, a little Kleenex, but not too much, I would say.
Okay. Thanks for the warning.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.